Hey guys, it's Ben here. Get ready to follow along as Wes tells the untold stories of his 2017 bow kill and his 2018 bow kill. And then to wrap up this three-part series, I tag along with Wes in Oklahoma as he tries to fill his 2019 and 2020 tags.
What's up guys, this is Wes Lowrey and this is Whackmaster Outdoors, and this is the story of my 2017 bow kill. The start of my relationship with the Thornton brothers began in 2013. Me and my brother's bands 2 steps back at a local show where I first met the oldest Thornton brother, Brantley. Through Brantley, I met his 3 brothers, Bryson, Ben, and Baylor. After a few years of all being friends, we all realized we had the same passion for hunting. Me and this buck story begins in late 2016. Me and my brother went in to pull cameras for the last time. We took them cameras home, checked the cards, and lo and behold, this buck was on camera just a handful of times. We didn't think much about it because we'd never seen him on the hoof before. After pulling cameras in the 2016 season, fast forward to the following September. After hanging cameras and pulling cards for the first time, there he was. So it seemed to me, him transitioning from a 4.5-year-old to a 5.5-year-old, he had changed his home range, and now his home range was my property. So knowing this, me and my brother were super excited to start hunting this deer. So excited that we started flipping coins to see who would get to hunt him. So after hunting him for a month that way, it was now October 31st and it was Halloween. I'd planned on taking my daughter trick-or-treating and not hunting that evening. Also to me, this deer seemed like he loved warm weather. All previous pictures I'd had was nice, sunny, and on Halloween, of course, it was cloudy and cool, and I didn't think I had a chance at seeing him. So after a phone call with Brantley talking about hunting, he had coerced me to go hunting that night, saying that if he could go, he would be in the stand. And I told him that if I didn't see anything, I would never listen to him again and go hunting. I would never do it again. So I took his word of advice, didn't take my daughter trick-or-treating, and got in the stand. So sure enough, after about 45 minutes, Brantley was right. There were deer on me. That deer ended up being a small 2-year-old buck, and he came in and ate on the corn. I watched him for probably 5 or 6 minutes, and I seen movement directly north of him. The timber's thick enough where I couldn't tell what it was, so I sat waiting to see what was coming. After a few more minutes, another buck came in and started eating on the corn with that younger buck. So it didn't take long for me to realize that the deer that just came in was the traveling buddy to this guy. Wasn't long after that, I seen movement on the same trail that those deer used. Much to my surprise, it was this guy. At this point, my heart is beating out of my chest, and I couldn't believe my eyes that the buck that we'd been after had finally shown. And all I could think in my head was what Brantley had told me on the phone just previously was, if you see a big buck, don't stare at it because you will whiff the shot. And that was all that was thinking in my head, was to not stare at him and look at anything else to try to lower my heart rate, so when the shot came, I could pull it off perfectly. With that being said, it was hard not to stare. The buck had came in, quartering to me, and I did not feel comfortable with that shot. Along with quartered to me, there was 2 younger deer in there, and they were moving around, and there just wasn't a shot presented. So I sat there staring at this deer for what seemed like an eternity, but ended up probably only being 10 minutes of my life. So after about 5 minutes, the youngest buck in that corn pile had started feeding down to me and to my stand. And I just watched him. Well, sure enough, after about 3 minutes, that next younger buck did the exact same thing. And in my head, I kept thinking, this is gonna work out perfect. That big buck is gonna follow the same suit. He's gonna come down this trail, get right below my stand. I'm gonna shoot him at 5 yards. It's gonna be the greatest thing you've ever seen. And so, sure enough, he starts feeding in, and I think it's gonna happen. Well, he gets about 25 yards out and starts milling around with one of these other bucks. And so I start getting nervous, and he starts to turn around. So as he starts turning around, he goes 10 yards away from me, and when he gets to this point, I know once he turns right and gets behind this tree, there's no other shot presented. So in my mind, the only thing I can think I can do is get my call out and grunt. And when I grunt, the younger buck has been back on the corn pile and he thinks it's him. And so I believe he turns over there and goes to investigate, and they start kind of tickling antlers, and that little deer doesn't want anything to do with it. So that was my best shot opportunity. He seemed broadside, and so I draw back, and at that point my arrow falls off my rest. Now I'm at full draw with my arrow off my rest, so I use my tongue to put my arrow back on my rest. I don't know how it worked out, but I did it. So I'm about ready to make the shot, and this little buck trickles right in front of the big buck. And so there I am, stuck holding my bow at full draw, waiting for this small deer to leave and him not move. And after about 30 seconds, that little deer moves on. I get ready to shoot, and I shoot. So as you can see, it wasn't an ideal shot. I quickly got down, put another arrow in him, and he quickly expired after. So that's the story of my 177-inch whitetail. Never in my wildest dreams would I ever thought I would kill a deer of this caliber, and never would I have dreamed that I'd killed it on a small family farm. After the Are we good? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. After pulling cameras in the 2016 season, fast forward to, After pulling cameras with the 2016 season, fast forward to September of the following year. Met all three. I looked at it in that tree. Right. I don't know. He's had a hard life, he's completely dead. This is Wagmaster Outdoors.